Welcome to another edition of Hey Bobby with VP with the Cleveland Indians, Bobby DiBiasio, brought to you by NECA-IBEW. I'm Ray Horner. And Bobby, let's start first of all and go in an area. You just got appointed president of the board with the Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame. First of all, congratulations to you
Thank
on
you.
that. But we have a banquet coming up in October where we're going to have our great friend Les Levine. And then when you look at our area a little bit, you got Ben Curtis and Larry Nance. But talk about this Hall of Fame and encompasses. Give us the story here.
Gentleman by the name of Jack Herrick has been the steward of the Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame for the past 20, 25 years. And his tenure, as he said, enough's enough. And so the board came to me and asked if I would be willing to jump on and participate as president of the board. And so Paul Dolan was gracious enough to say yes for allowing me to do that in addition to my current duties. And Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame was created way back in 1975, getting ready for the bicentennial of the city of Cleveland. And there was a group of businessmen and women that felt that sports needed to be a part of the celebration of the bicentennial. So the Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame was created. 520 inductees over 30 different sports, which makes it pretty cool in that regard. It's not just, you know, your football stars, baseball stars, basketball stars. It's the world of squash and archery and wrestling and all the different sports that are out there. We feel honored this year that the class of 2021 includes the late great Les Levine, includes Zydrunas Ilgauskas, and also Larry Nance Sr. and Ben Curtis. One of the first things we did with the Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame was we expanded our reach. We were in 6 counties that we felt consisted of Greater Cleveland, but we've expanded that to Portage and Summit County and felt that that truly was, in our minds, the Greater Cleveland. So that allowed us the opportunity to honor Larry Nance Sr. and Ben Curtis. Now, the 2 criteria to get into the Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame: 1, you have to be born in Greater Cleveland. Number 2, or if you weren't born here, you had to make your home here in Greater Cleveland. And that's why a person like Larry Nance, it's interesting. People always shake their heads at me, Ray, when I tell them, you know, it's very odd that a guy like Jim Brown is not in the Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame, because he was neither born here nor did he make his home here. But a guy like Bob Feller, who was born in Van Meter, Iowa, of course, but made his home here since 1944 until his passing. So that's a little unique aspect to who we are as a Hall of Fame. And we will be entering a number of philanthropic endeavors as we move forward with the organization, specifically to help youth sports in the Greater Cleveland area.
The banquet is October 19th, Bobby, just so everyone understands. Can anyone go to the banquet that can purchase a ticket and maybe go down that road for us? And then a little bit more on those proceeds, if you can.
Yeah. ClevelandSportsHall.com is a place to go, or just Google Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame. That'll take you to all the details relative to the dinner Tuesday, October 19th, be at the Marriott downtown at Key Tower. And yes, all are welcome. Please join us. It's going to be a real fun evening. It's always fun to celebrate athletic achievement. The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame is obviously about saluting athletic achievement, athletic excellence, but it also tells the story of perseverance and dedication and commitment and sportsmanship and all the things that are right in the world of sports. And we hope that the Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame inspires young athletes to reach their full potential. And that's what we're all about. And should be a real fun evening, October 19. Again, just Google Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame, and it'll take you right to our website, and you can purchase tickets or a table. Tables are only $1,000 for 10 people. It's an easy for a company out there to celebrate Ben Curtis and Larry Nance Sr. in your neck of the woods, for sure.
He is the president of the board of the Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame, Bobby DiBiasio, and Hey Bobby with VP of the Cleveland Indians. Hey, Bobby, before I move on to something else, speaking of history, you mentioned all things that are right. Last week, we talked before the celebration with Rocky Colavito for the unveiling of the statue. And I thought maybe you could take a moment. You and I have talked since then, and you told me it was just a terrific ceremony there in Little Italy.
It was just a remarkable event in the neighborhood. Wall-to-wall people, the downpour of rain the morning, we were just so nervous. We weren't sure what in the world we were going to do. We did have a rain plan, of course, but we didn't want to move, the ceremony part indoors and then go out in the rain to do the unveiling. And all of a sudden the skies cleared and we had a beautiful day. Wall-to-wall people at Tony Brush Park. Rocky, as he always does, rises to the occasion. Very special that we did the unveiling ceremony on purpose on his birthday, on his 88th birthday. We celebrated with him at the ballpark at the Indians game that evening, had him wave to the fans who gave him a standing O at the ballpark as well. But the ceremony itself, he shaped the childhoods of so many of us of our generation. Such a remarkable man. And it is pretty interesting, Ray, that after all these years, the adoration for him is still as strong. And I think that comes from the fact that Rocky always had the fans come first in his mindset. And people just don't forget that. And he holds a special place in our hearts, again, for our generation of Indians fans. And just so honored that I had an opportunity to be the master of ceremonies of that event, and one I will never forget.
Vice President of the Cleveland Indians, Bobby DiBiasio. Hey, Bobby, brought to you by NECA-IBEW. Well, let's turn the clock back a little bit. And when we talk about history of our Cleveland Indians, Bobby, I know you're the historian with the team. I love your stories, tribe tales, or wherever we might get. How about the history of the Indians nickname? Because you and I have talked about the Guardians going forward in 2022, but trace us to the Indians nickname and how that came about.
Well, baseball started in the late 1860s in professional baseball started in the late 1860s in Cleveland, and we had so many different nicknames as we played in 9 different leagues that were being established. The first one that people might remember is the fact we were the Forest Cities. There was a time we were called the Infants. There was a time, we were obviously called the Spiders and a number of other names. But when we got into being a charter member of the fledgling American League, the American League was established in 1901. The National League had already been in business. And now they call us the junior circuit. The American League comes second and is established in 1901. And in that year, we are called the Blues. And for that 1 year, we are called the Blues. Then the next year, and the story goes, and who knows, this is all, as you go through reading different accounts from the 11 different newspapers and all of those things that historians have written about, that the players didn't like the powder blue uniform. They didn't think it was manly enough, so they wanted a more manly name, and they went to Broncos in 1902. And then in 1903, so we only had that, and they changed the colors to black and white for the Broncos. And then 1903, the owner of the team goes and grabs Napoleon Lajoie from the Philadelphia Ball Club of the National League and wants to make a big splash that somebody from the National League, a star, was willing to come over to the junior circuit. So he names the team after Napoleon Lajoie, and we're the Cleveland Naps from 1903 to 1914. And then when Napoleon Lajoie retires, the owner's like, okay, we need a new name. So he grabs all the writers, sports writers, brings them to his office and says, here's our dilemma, help me out. That's why from here, you get so many different stories. Whether some people think there was a newspaper contest, there wasn't really a contest. It was a number of sports writers writing a column that the owner of the team had asked them to help in finding a new name. And did anybody out there, just like what we went through this last year, we just put it out there, said we're changing our name, and we got solicitation from thousands of people giving us thoughts on what our name should be. Whether the story that the Indians is named after Louis Francis Sac Alexis, the first full-blooded Native American to ever play professional baseball, professional baseball, is another story that different historians have differing opinions on. Louis Francis Sac Alexis did in fact play for the Spiders, and for a period of time he was an absolutely terrific ball player. Whether or not that was the impetus in 1915 to change our name, because he played for the Cleveland Spiders prior to 1901. So there's a differing of opinion on obviously that. On June 15th, I think it is, January 15, 1915, there's a Plain Dealer editorial that talks about, hey, the baseball team has changed their name to Indians, and that it harkens back to a day when they had a player named Sac Alexis. So people wonder if that reference truly was the reason we were called the Indians. Some others believe more strongly in the thought process that the Boston Braves had won the World Series just prior year. So therefore, utilizing that genre of nickname, Braves and Indians, might have been the impetus more so than Louis Francis Sac Alexis. So back in those early parts, nicknames, as I just told you, we went, from the Blues to the Broncos to the Naps to the Indians. They weren't all that important. And the sports writers came up with their own nicknames for teams. Like in the early part, some historians claim we were the Blue Birds, not the Blues. And some newspapers reported that, the Cleveland Bluebirds did this tonight or last night, or not last night because they didn't play under lights, yesterday. So some newspapers called us the Blues, some others called us the Bluebirds. So as you can imagine, as the story unfolds over decades, and decades. There's differing of opinion. I think the chronicling of the move from Indians to Guardians is going to be well versed, and there will be no misunderstanding or wondering why or how this name, the new name Guardians, came about.
Good stories today, from Rocky Colavito to the Bluebirds to the Broncos to the Indians to the Hall of Fame. Bobby DiBiasio with Hey Bobby. He's the VP of the Cleveland Indians, brought to you each and every week by NECA-IBEW. My friend, we'll catch up with you again next week.
Thank you, Ray. Have a great day, buddy. Go Tribe.